wasn't a big man. He only had a few rocks in his hand. But he knew, yeah, he knew what he could do, yeah. So when Goliath came toward him, he put on that brave, bright grin, and he let that snake shot do what it was made to do. Show him that you're not afraid. Show him that you're not afraid. When worries try to fight you, don't let them get in the way. Show him that you're not afraid. Show him that you're not afraid. No matter what you go through, come on and be brave. Show him that you're not. Show him, show him. We've all got bullies and bowlfuls. They show up and they push and they pull. And we hide and we cry, but we should realize that courage comes when we choose it. When we decide we just won't quit. Yeah, I know you can do it. Get to it. Show them that you're not afraid. Show them that you're not afraid. When worries try to fight you, don't let them get in the way. Show them that you're not afraid. Show them that you're not afraid. No matter what you go through, come on and be brave. Show them that you're not.
All right, Kinsman, there you are, live Timmins Rock Hockey.
Yes, Timmins Rock Hockey doesn't get any better than this best of 7 series, especially when you're playing the Hearst Lumberjacks. We're already leading the series 1-0. The East Division Finals, it's Timmins and Hearst in the East, and on the West side, you've got both Sioux teams, the Sioux Eagles and the Sioux Thunderbirds. Sioux Thunderbirds actually leading that best of 7, 1-0. And they take their action into Game 2 tonight, just like we do tonight down at the MAC.
There you go. Right behind the PA booth, like always, calling some, announcing a lot of Rock goals tonight. I'm going to predict you're going to announce 7 of them.
You think I'm going to do 7? Well, last night, 7 goals, 6 in favor of the Rock, 1 in favor of Hearst. And again, the good old cliche, you love my cliches in hockey. You always want to try and get the first win of a best of 7. But now Hearst going to try to they're going to try to do everything that they can to tie it, headed back to Hearst. And of course, Timmins, they want to go up 2-0, headed to Hearst for games 3 and 4.
There you go, pal. I think the Rock are looking good. So I think that they win this series in 4. I know you're not supposed to say that, but a fan can say that. And then what? We move on to the semifinals or the finals?
No. Well, this is the East final. So the winner of this series will take on the West final, and then that would be the NOJHL championship. And then we hoist the big old trophy.
Yeah, so right, and my
with all the bragging rights. Yeah.
My son's going to be at the game. I told him to photobomb you, and
is that him behind us there? Those two signed a waiver. They said I'm not going to be on camera, and I said don't worry. I said it's only my mom watching.
Right, it's only your mom. Yeah, but my son's going to be there. So if you see some 13-year-olds photobombing you at the game, that's courtesy of my son.
He's going to come by and go. My dad said to give him the Kins and Klomp credit card for down here. I'll be like, let me go double check here, little man.
Yeah, he's going to want pretzel. You're going to have to cover his bill tonight there, Kinsman.
Yeah, well, I'll take care of him. I've got my little guy. I've got my little guy's sister, Chloe. She works out of the game here, too. So maybe Chloe and Aiden will be hanging out here tonight.
Yeah, there we go, pal. So that is exciting. And in about 6 minutes, we have 3 guests joining us. And really the big topic tonight is the Foleyet ambulance service, which is potentially, I call it potential because people are fighting to be discontinued in that area, which is a travesty. It's wrong.
They're fighting, like when you say fighting to get rid of it, they don't want the service there anymore, or are they fighting to keep the service?
Yes, sorry, I should say that correctly. They are fighting, obviously, to keep the service. In the community. Yes, so the MPP of Témiscamingue, France Gelinas, is going to be joining us, and 2 of the residents of Foleyet to tell us what's going on and what we can do to help them, whether it's signing a petition that's already gone to the legislative, or there's other things we can do, like writing your government. So we're going to find all about that tonight in just about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe, I still can't believe that, this is even a topic of discussion because, if I'm sitting on any board, are they thinking, maybe if they had someone living in Foleyet that the tides would be changed? Like, does anybody have any family members living there? Obviously, you never predict when you're going to have a tragic, incident where you're going to need, an emergency call. Someone's going to have a heart attack tonight. And what happens if that service is canceled?
Yeah, no community should be without that service. And we're going to hear, like I said, directly from the MPP and 2 people who live there that directly affects them. And we're going to find out how we could hop on board and assist these folks moving forward to make sure this does not happen. And that's coming up in a couple minutes. In the meantime, what's happening at the MAC? Puck drops at 7:30, right?
7:30. So right now on the clock, we've got about 18 minutes left. They come on, they do their final skate, then a final flood. They're going to come on, and we're going to introduce the starting lineups. Normally, they're a little tight-lipped, but they knew we were going to be doing the show ahead of time tonight, Klomp. And I have the top secret lineup, the 5 starters for our Timmins Rock. And they're going with the Stars who won last night's game. Got Gavin McCarthy starting in net. Gavin from Athens, Ontario. Quite widespread players and where they, reside here in, in the city. Ottawa, got Felix Cadeau-Fredette, timekeeper, telling me to get out of here. You think he's got an important job or something down here, eh, Chris? Without Chris, nothing happens. Of course, Felix, he's going to be playing defense tonight from Ottawa. Eric Moreau from Penetang is going to be wearing number 21 tonight. And we've got on the left wing tonight from New Hamburg, Tyler Schwint, who's lighting it up just like he did in the regular season tonight. He'll be wearing number 44. Harry Clark from Timmins, good old Timmins boy, on the right wing tonight. He'll be wearing 17. And from Almer, Ontario, wearing number 24, our starting center tonight will be Nicholas Pijal, who picked up the first star in last night's game.
Good.
So again, going with their the hot starters to get things going for round 2.
That's right. And so the puck drops at 7:30. There's still time to get to the door, get
lots
tickets.
of time.
Yeah. Lots of time. Pack the MAC. It's an exciting time. We have an elite team. We've had one for the last few years. So let's get it done, Rock. And you get a front row seat to the action, my friend.
Front row seat to the action. I know you're going to be having a very serious discussion, while the Rock Cam is playing in the background. And again, if anybody wants to, you're going to see the goals. Hopefully we light it up within the half hour. But again, hopefully our viewers will, chime in with, discussions, some questions. Mm-hmm. And, maybe they can take these questions and add it to that petition. Again, the petition's out there with I think there's thousands upon thousands of signatures. So again, I can't understand why they would even consider not having emergency services.
Right. Well, we're going to ask those questions tonight. So here's the plan. So since you're at the MAC, once our other two guests arrived, I'm going to bring them on. Mary Lynn and George. France is waiting in the background. We'll put you on mute for we could still see the Rock visual. I'll have a conversation with our guests, and once that conversation is done, we'll bring you back on. We'll bug you from your PA duties and get an update on the game. How about that?
And see what happens. Yeah. And again, I'm gonna have my earbuds on, boys. Hard to see here. Let me change the camera here, buddy. We're gonna go. Mind my fingers. We're gonna go back camera here and. There we go. Boys coming out for their, this is their final warm-up before tonight's big flood.
There we go, pal.
And also wanted to make a shout-out here. I've got Sean Lavoie. He's working one of the doors here, Klomp. The Porcupine Gold Kings. Porcupine Gold Kings, congratulations to them. The first time in 12 years that they've made it to an OHF-sanctioned tournament in Windsor this weekend. So congratulations to them, and they're actually leaving for Woodstock tomorrow. So congratulations, and we wish them all the best.
Yeah, that's super exciting. So we do wish them the best. Okay, pal. So our guests are here. So I'm going to bring them on once again. I'm going to put your camera on mute for we can see the visuals. But
sounds good, buddy.
France, George, and Mary Lynn are here, and I'm going to bring them on the show, and we will chat with you, Mark, maybe around 7:30, 7:45.
You got her, buddy. I'll give you the complete update.
All right, pal.
All right, cheers.
All right, there we go. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Can everyone hear me well?
Very well.
Absolutely.
All right, there. Well, we're off to a good start already. There, we got Mark. He's covering he's the PA announcer for the Timmins Rock. So we're going to throw him in the left there. But we appreciate everyone joining us, and a little bit about our show. Like we normally, 90% of the time, cover the the positive, fun aspects in life, and our theme of the show is give people a break from whatever's been going on in the world the last few years. But tonight's a very it was very disturbing, when I heard what was going on. My in-laws are from Foleyet, and I know the community well, and it was deeply upsetting to find out what is potentially going to happen. And I always use the word potentially because I know there's a strong resistance against this, and I believe the community will fight, and the right thing will prevail. And but maybe I'll start with France. Thank you for joining us. Why the question we've been getting all day was, why is this even being considered?
Did you want me to start?
Yeah, sure. Yes, France. Yeah. The question we have been getting all day is, why is this even being considered at all to remove these services from the community?
So ambulance services in rural area is provided in our area by Manitoulin and Sudbury District Services Board. They are a very good agency that provide ambulance services to a huge territory. What has happened is that their budget has been limited for quite some times, and the demand for ambulance services in other parts of their geographical area, mainly around Manitoulin Island, has increased to the point where they need to put another base in that area. Nothing against the people of Manitoulin Island. They should have access to good ambulance service. Because their budget has not moved for years and years and years, they have no money to do this. So they did a study and they looked at how busy the different ambulance stations were in their district. It turns out that Foleyet was at the bottom with 180 calls last year per year. And that's it. Because the government doesn't fund them appropriately, because the government has not increased their funding for years and years and years, they are stuck with this situations where they will have to steal from Peter to pay Paul. And I cannot agree with this. To simply look at the number of calls coming from Foleyet completely misses out the fact that they are isolated. They are far from Timmins and Chapleau, which the two other ambulance stations are located at. And we all know that when in an urgent case, if you don't receive care within 10 minutes, 10 minutes is the longest windows for most of the time for paramedics to be able to save you. In Timmins and Chapleau, forget it. They will never make the 10 minutes. So this is not okay. This is really sad, but this is being discussed at the Board of Governance, Board of Directors meeting of the Manitoulin Sudbury District Services Board next Thursday.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that. And, you know, we all understand budget cuts, whether it's personally or in business. We've all tightened the purse, for lack of a better term. But when it comes to cutting services, there's some that are absolutely essential for a community and others are not. And I understand this is a standalone budget. But it just seems to me that the folks that are making this decision are not from Foleyet and will never require these services and don't have any direct relations in Foleyet, because I think it would have been there would have been a deeper dive, because it's easy to just remove something on paper. But then when something does happen, when someone absolutely needs the services, and if there's a fatality, worst case scenario, money doesn't mean anything if we can't save people's lives. That's right. I'll ask. Well, thank you for joining us, Mary Lynn and George. Also, I wanted to ask you a question, Mary Lynn, because you were my first point of contact for reaching out. So we really do appreciate you coming on our forum and having this discussion. Are you? I use the term leadership role, but I know it's a whole team. But are you sort of taking like a leadership role in this to help bring the community together?
I would hope so. I think we have a bunch of people that have been doing that, you know, like France and George and our community here. And honestly, I think being the chair for my first year, one of the biggest things that I found is education, right? And, you know, when I heard the ambulance is going, I'm wondering, why is there only 180 calls? Well, I think that's because of education. What do the paramedics do? Is it just emergency services? You know, and we need to utilize them more. So shame on us that we haven't done the education. Guaranteed that we're going to do a better job at utilizing our paramedics, because honestly, it needs to come off the table. It's just not. We have Peyton here in town, who's a young girl with a trach. She's 4 or 5 years old. What do we say to them when we don't have a paramedic here and we don't have time? 2 hours, you can't have that. So yeah, I'm taking a leadership role. And honestly, this is just, it needs to come off the table.
It really does. And I can understand, you know, I can empathize that you're dealing with a lot of very serious emotion. You know, my mother suffered with Parkinson's for 15 years, and she was in Thunder Bay. So she was lucky to have these services, but I could not imagine if she's in a community such as Foleyet and there was no one to attend to her. She couldn't get to a hospital in 1 to 2 hours. It would have been just devastating. And so I really empathize what's happening in the community, because you never know, even if you're a healthy individual, with no, health issues in your past, that doesn't precede you from needing this care at some point. Anything can happen at any moment. And then if you have young children that need medical care, or elderly that need, care at any moment, it's incomprehensible how you could feel like those services wouldn't be provided to them in a Canadian way of time.
Absolutely.
No, that's right. Hello, George. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. You usually have my colleague here asking questions too, but you'll have to put up with me all night. Obviously, as a resident of the area, a business owner of the area, what is this? May be a question I know the answer to, but what is the morale in the community right now?
Well, listen, first, I'd like to thank Fran again for taking an issue with us. She's always been there whenever we've had to fight for services that other people in the province take for granted. And Fran, I thank you again, and Mary Lynn for stepping up for the town of Foleyet. I'm not a business owner. I am the president of the Ivanhoe Lake Cottagers Stroke Landowners Association. We have 72 landowners out here at Ivanhoe Lake. And I'm not just speaking for them, I'm speaking for the 7 other lakes in this area, in this catchment area, that have cottages or permanent homes. Now, Ivanhoe Lake is 7 kilometers just down from Foleyet. And if you say you know the area, then you know where it is. It's a very busy location. It's a community unto itself. We have probably a summer population of well over 1,500 because of the provincial park. And I just can't believe that I'm sitting here having to justify an ambulance service to this location. And as Franz alluded to, there are response times standards that an ambulance has to respond to. There are 5 categories. And if I'm going to call an ambulance and have to wait for it to come from Chapleau or Timmins, it's going to be 2 hours minimum. Wow. And it's just unacceptable. This area, during the summer months, can have a population of 3,000 people from one end of it to the other. And we need to have an ambulance service there to respond when we need it.
You are absolutely right. And when you hear the number 180, maybe when people look at their spreadsheets and that number is low, but to me, that means 180 people that needed care got care. And that's, if the number is even 1, to me, that's a very important number. And you mentioned the summer residency because it's a very beautiful area. A lot of people come to the community to enjoy whenever summer is going to happen, but people come to the area to enjoy the beautiful outdoors there, winter and summer. And that must be like, it's just a great concern, because if you don't have what is a basic Canadian right, just because you're a small community, a rural area, doesn't mean you should be forgotten. And to me, that's completely wrong, and it's very frustrating, and it's not right at all. What have you spoken with some of the residents, obviously, like, directly, and are they? What's the mood like? I assume upset and frustrated, but there must be a big concern in the community right now.
I can tell you that many residents of Foleyet, Ivanhoe Lake, and all the area have reached out to my office. Some have shared personal stories of having to dial 911 and having to call the ambulance and needing services. Others shared stories of caring for frail elderly or caring for somebody who has high medical needs, who could very well need a quick transport to Timmins Hospital or Chapleau Hospital, and they are worried. They're not asking for anything extraordinary. Equity of access. When you don't have a hospital in your community, nobody say that we should have a hospital in Foleyet. Okay, I understand it's too small for that. But then you need to have ready access to medical transportation if something happens. We don't wish harm upon anybody in Foleyet, Ivanhoe, in that area, but we all know that there's a lot of fisher, there's a lot of anglers, there's a lot of hunters, there's a lot of snowmobilers, there's a lot of, and sometimes bad things happen when you go fishing or hunting or bow hunting, or you grow older or you go frailer, and 180 people last year had to call the ambulance for emergency transport to mainly to Timmins. What is going to happen once this is gone? What's going to happen to the next time somebody needs an emergency transport? There's often offload delay in Timmins, so there's a good chance the ambulance won't leave right away. With sirens and lights on, it will still take them an hour to drive to Foleyet, care for the patient, and then put them on the stretcher and bring them back to the hospital. You are talking hours of delay when everybody knows when we're talking emergency call, the window is no more than 10 minutes. Otherwise, a lot of opportunities for treatment won't be available to you. That's not fair to the people of Foleyet, Ivanhoe, and area. And the ambulance station has to be maintained. I can tell you that I read petitions in the House about this situation. The government did not know anything about it. Somebody from the government side came and talked to me, and I know that they are looking into it to see if they can help. But we have an election coming soon. The House won't sit, and then it's really hard to see what will happen. Meanwhile, the Manitoulin-Sudbury District Services Board will make decision, and that worries me lots.
It does. And you asked a great question, France, when you said, what's going to happen. To me, you're playing roulette with people's lives. And eventually this ends in a very serious tragedy for a family. Eventually. You hope never, but the math will tell you if it does, if you extend your delay to get proper medical care. Now, the one question I had for you, France, and we're also getting this. So, individuals like a lot of our viewers and Mark and I who live in Timmins, not in Foleyet, and I understand there's a petition going on. What else can we be doing to support our community members in Foleyet?
I agree with you that hope is not a plan. Hope that nothing derails is not a plan. The people of Foleyet need a strong plan as to what will happen next time there is an emergency. And right now, there's a chance that we won't have one. So what can people do? Write to the Manitoulin-Sudbury District Services Board and copy me, so that I can keep putting pressure on, right, as to if you're comfortable sharing personal story of having to call the ambulance, if you are only...
Oh, I think we might have lost a little reception there from France. Well, in the meantime, let me ask you a question, Mary Lynn. Can you, because I'm not consistently in the community as it stands right now with the with the ambulance. Is it parked in a certain area, X amount of kilometers outside of the community? Is it directly in Foleyet? How do these things stand at the moment?
Yeah, great question. We have an EMS station right on Tamarack Avenue here in Foleyet. And it's funny that they're talking these numbers of 180 people. Our town, our little town of Foleyet's about 180 people. So they've given us this service. Why would you take away an emergency service that you already know was needed here in this town? I'm sure George can speak more to this, but Chapleau isn't happy that we'd be losing our service either. So there's a lot of dynamics that, it just doesn't make sense that it's even talking about. We're talking about this right now. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
George, if you want to talk about that.
You're right.
Yeah, and it's a totally frustrating situation. This is not the first service that we've had to fight to keep. And it just seems that it's an ongoing fiasco. I mean, a few years back, we almost lost our internet and cell phone service. And France Gelinas had to step in and help us out with that. We've lost our local police service. We have a nurse practitioner once a week, if we're lucky. And, we're thinking, okay, what's next? I could go back years ago when we used to have 2 plows to do the highway and all this kind of stuff and everything. But it just, over the years, it's just been broken down and broken down. And we're kind of fed up with it. We pay the taxes that we are sent. And this is supposed to provide services. I listened to the Premier and to the Minister of Health during the pandemic. They would come on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we all know that, from Monday to Friday. They would tell us that they were making major improvements to healthcare services so that all Ontarians would have the same access to the same healthcare services at the same time. The other issue I have is we have 8 lakes in our area. A lot of these lakes have cottages, not just cottages now. People are building permanent homes. They are moving out of the cities because of taxes and because of COVID, and they want to be back with nature. Mm-hmm. Our population is definitely going up in this area. As our population is going up, they want to move an ambulance out. Mm-hmm. It just does not make any sense.
It does, like, the lack of a better term, it doesn't make any sense. And to top it off, the Canadian, we're not exempt from the total Canadian population, where the population is aging. We knew that the baby boomers are getting older. So our population's getting older. And that will tell you that there's going to be a higher demand on our healthcare system, a higher demand for healthcare in the Foleyet community. So they're going completely backwards with their thinking. If that number is 180, to me, that's a big number for a town that has 180 people. To me, that's 100%. But nonetheless, to me, that means next year that could be 250. And the following year it could be 375. If you follow the schematics, and that, I can see that's very frustrating. And they are playing a game with people's lives due to budget cuts. And there's lots of things we could be cutting money on, but people's livelihood, people's healthcare is not where you start. It probably shouldn't even be looked at on that list. I just, I'm feeling it, and I don't even live in the community. I can just imagine if I'm there, and if I depend on care for myself, for my children, for my elderly dad, I would feel like I'm not Canadian, to be honest with you.
Well, I know. And, if it hadn't been for France, we would have lost our internet and cell phone service. She stepped in and she took great issue with it. And it was just a bizarre incident.
France, I think we're able to reach you with a good connection now. How are the people in rural communities often forgotten about?
I would say Queen's Park is in Toronto, very far away from Northern Ontario, apparently. And for a lot of deciders and policymakers in Toronto, they don't see beyond the GTA. They don't understand that Foleyet is a beautiful place to live. It has 3 and 4 generation families who have lived there all their lives. Same thing with Ivanhoe Lake, same thing with the surrounding area. But they really do not grasp the concept of the distances between northern rural area, that you can have a thriving little village that is providing a good quality life for their residents. They don't get that at all. It is in part my job to make sure that when they make policy, that they look at the needs of every community of Nickel Belt, including Foleyet, Ivanhoe, etc. They are not.
Oh, we We might have lost her again mid-sentence, Mary Lynn, but that's okay. That's hey, it's an internet show. It's live. That sometimes happens. But I get exactly what France is saying is that, you know, when people sit in a building, in an office in Toronto, half the time they don't even know where Timmins is. Never mind Foleyet. These communities are forgotten. And George, George and France and yourself are making an excellent point. The trend is people want to move to smaller communities. The air is much cleaner. It's a much safer place to raise your children and your family. It's very peaceful. You have access to nature. We live in Northern Ontario because the majority of us love nature, and you're surrounded by lakes. What are we telling the people whose dream it is to move to a smaller community, whether it be retirement or to raise a family, or you just love nature, that you better not come here, because if you get sick, there's really nothing. You're on your own. It's a horrible message to send, is it not?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm sure that that's one of the reasons that Mary Lynn and her family moved here, is they wanted to get back to a decent, back to nature, peaceful, no heavy traffic and nice, beautiful scenery and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure, right, Mary Lynn?
Absolutely. And I mean, one of the things coming to Foleyet with our, as a family, just as a person, we have health issues. My husband's had heart attacks. I've had a stroke. My son Wesley's with us. He's very, he's out in the bush cutting trees all day long. I mean, we're just an active family. So what happens if Wes is out in the bush cutting a tree and he puts the chainsaw or falls through the snow? What then? Right? So, we got to keep coming back to the fact that we cannot lose our paramedics here in town. It doesn't make sense. And if we are having more people coming in, like George said, through 3,000 to 5,000 people over the course of the summer, what are we telling those people? You don't have access to emergency care? Mm-hmm. What country do we live in? I don't get it.
No, it doesn't. And by, my limited understanding of the background, where you folks are the experts, this is about money. And
I mean, they say it's about money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. The Foleyet EMS station, if I'm correct, George can correct me on this, because I've been here only just coming up a year now. My husband's family was from here, but I think 10 years it's been here. George, am I right?
Well, there's a new building. They built a new building about 4 years ago, and they actually put the service back into Foleyet, I think, in 1994. But they recently built that new complex for the ambulance, and they no sooner built it, they had fanfare to open it, but there's certainly no fanfare to close it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So because I think we still have a weak reception with France. Yeah. So she's still in reception issues. So France mentioned that the fight has begun. Where maybe George, I'll start with you. Do you know where things stand at this moment?
I'm optimistic, actually. I know that the Fern Dominelli, the chair of the Manitoulin Sudbury District Services Board, has been pounded with emails, and I know that Franz has certainly had a lot of letters, emails, and stuff sent to her that she's forwarding on. We're not sitting down. This is an area where we are fed up with having to keep justifying services that the rest of the province takes for granted. Mm-hmm. It's ludicrous, and we've had enough. And we've had so many people from outside the area that visit the area. They spend time in the provincial park, which is a very popular park here. And they've had the same people coming back year after year after year, and they're getting involved. Mm-hmm. Red Pine Lodge people, trailer park, they're involved. Air Ivanhoe people, they're involved. And it just goes on and on. White Pine Lodge down the highway, they're involved. So everybody has really kicked in, and we're adamant that we don't want the service to leave.
And just to make one more point, if that's okay, on what George is speaking about, our mines. What happens if the mine collapses? What happens? At least right now we have one ambulance that can go and help and put some, things in place. If the ambulance is gone, what do we do for them? What about CN? We have, Pineland, all of these big companies who do some pretty serious hard work, and can have, devastating consequences.
It can. And, if this group wants to talk financials as reasons, there's also devastating financial loss for the community. There could be some people who reconsider, maybe I'm not going to their cottage country this summer, because what happens? There may be businesses looking at development in the area. Well, if I don't have proper protection for my workers, there are the most serious consequences, human life, obviously. But there's also these ripple effects that don't help a community that's already been threatened to lose their cell service, threatened to lose ambulatory care. Just struggling, it's not easy to run a rural community in a small population. Taxes are what they are, but you got to fight for every right. And you're right, George, about one thing. It's not like we take it for granted, but I guess we do in Timmins, because I never think twice. If I need an ambulance, I just call 911, and I know the ambulance is going to be here, so I don't ever think of it. So you're right, we do take these things for granted, because that's never been held over our head. I'm originally from Thunder Bay, and I've never heard this discussion about restricting any of our healthcare in that area. It's I can't comprehend how this discussion goes at this boardroom. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Crazy.
Agree. It cannot proceed. Foleyet needs to keep their ambulance service, period. How we make this happen, let's figure that out. But in the meantime, they have to keep that service. It is just too important for the health of the community and the surrounding community.
Good. One last question, and now that we got you back, France. So obviously, the MPP in our area, Gilles Bisson, we're wishing him well on his recovery. He had just suffered a heart attack, but in the same party, have you reached out to Gilles and found out, what type of support he can act on behalf of his community, which is ours in Timmins?
Oh, absolutely. Michael Manta is the MPP that represents Chapleau, and Gilles Bisson is the MPP that represents Timmins. They are all fully aware of what's going on. I've also reached across the aisle. So I went and talked to the governing conservative MPPs to say, this is not acceptable. Something needs to be done. I must say that they reached out to me first. There's an openness to help, but you need to continue to be vocal. And vocal means sending emails, sending letters, telling the Manitoulin Sudbury District Services Board, as the Ministry of Health, and copy me that this cannot happen.
100%. I couldn't agree anymore. And our hearts and of course our support go out to our friends in the community. And it's just not from a distance. We love traveling there. We love using the lakes. We love using the campgrounds. My in-laws are from there. So we have most of us in the community have a direct relation with the area. And we don't want to see this game of roulette end in something that's a tragedy. And never. And not because of budget cuts. I would tell these people, hey, cut anything else. But at the end of the day, not when it affects people's lives. That's the last thing we want to see. So anything we can do to help, I understand there was a petition, but if there's anything else that we could, promote through our social media channels to help build awareness, we're always 1,000% willing to do that. And we hope for an extremely positive outcome, which I believe, I still believe in good in this world. I believe the right thing. Someone's going to say, what's the right thing to do? And it should be obvious what the right thing to do is.
That's right.
in this one, it's pretty obvious to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it. It's nice meeting our friends from Foleyet, and maybe next time we come on and we have some better news. This has a positive outcome, and we'll chat about all the good fish. George will tell me where all the good fishing spots are. I'll keep it
likely.
I doubt that.
I can never get it off anybody, but we'll be more positive next time once this gets resolved the right way. And I just wanted to thank all three of you for your time and speaking openly and educating us on what's happening in the community.
Well, you know what? I would like to thank you for taking the time to let us share our opinions and views and stuff, and it's very important. And again, I'd like to thank the people that showed up as well as Franz and for Mary Lynn. And together, hopefully, we'll get this, and I say this, damn issue behind us.
Yeah. Right.
Amen.
Yeah, there's probably more words that we could use to explain that, but I definitely agree. You're very accurate on all of them.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Franz, Mary Lynn, and George. You all have a wonderful evening, and we'll be following, and you have our support all the way.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
All right, now we'll go and try and check in with Mr. Kinsman. The puck's about to drop. Let's see if we can hear him. Are you there, Mark?
I am down here. How are you, buddy?
Good. I mean, very emotional discussion with our friends from the Foleyet community.
Again, Franz, George, and Mary, listen to the interview. I'm going to call them the dynamic trio. I still can't fathom. Again, you heard it from George himself. Why are they even discussing this? Let alone even, it shouldn't even be a topic. I was talking to Sean Lavoie. He works one of the doors here following, your interview, backstage here. He said, you know what, if they can have a Bigfoot association where people are looking for Bigfoot and there's funds going into that, or, right. Smokey the Bear, God forbid, you never know when a forest fire is going to happen, but there's always someone on guard just in case. And again, same with, EMS in Foleyet. Why not have a volunteer, there's volunteer fire. Why not have volunteer EMS and always have someone camped out there? And yes, they get paid for it. You said it beautifully earlier, 180 people, even one person. You know what? That one person is very grateful that there was an EMS standing by within minutes to save their life. And again,
yeah, you're right. You're 1,000% right. And there will come a time in all our lives, for most of us, we will require the service, whether it's an accident, whether it's getting older, no matter what, and a sudden illness, anything. Most people do require this service at one point of their life. And can you imagine living in a community when you call and they say you have a serious issue, and they say, "Oh, we'll get with you in 2 hours.
We'll get there in an hour." Right? People get mad at the 30 minutes are free with pizza, when they used to have that deal. Yeah. Like 30 minutes, I don't care if they say we're going to get there in 10, 15 minutes. I still think 10, 15 minutes is too long. You want the EMS at your door within a minute to a minute and a half. How long can the average person stay, unconscious without, the necessities
of
life?
You're having a stroke, you're having a heart attack.
Probably the longest 3 minutes of someone's life when you're waiting for someone to come and save your life.
Yeah. Amanda said there's so many options, completely absurd. Yeah, 1,000%. You tell me I don't know, Kinston. Like, often I don't get a lack of words, but I would just like to sit around that boardroom and see how they make that decision to play with people's lives.
That's right.
What expectation can you have? And Joanne's right. It's more than 180. That's just Foleyet. It's the surrounding areas. And with George, I don't know if you caught this, George mentioned, especially in the summer, the cottagers come to the community.
Well, that's what he was saying. Yeah, I had the earbuds in your entire interview, and George hit it, and they all three of them hit the nail on the head. You go from a couple of hundred, yes, in the off season, but in the full season, you've got campers coming in from all over the country, all over the province. now you've gone from 180 goers, and they brought 4 of their friends. Now you're into the multiple hundreds, into the thousands. And again, if someone does rock play, we all get stupid when we're out there camping. I do it when I grew up. You do cliff jumping. Let's say you hit your head. Like who the hell comes and gets you? When you're in need. Again, you're not going to predict the day something's going to happen, but God forbid if something does, you've got the EMS standing, at your door, ready to pounce and save you.
Right.
And again, if it, wherever they're taxing or taking budgets from, let's find another budget to go after and keep the EMS budget there.
Barry says, imagine having to do CPR for an hour waiting for an ambulance. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, here's the thing: when people don't realize when you start doing CPR on someone, you're obligated to keep it going until the EMS gets there. So if you're not practiced or well rehearsed with saving someone's life, which we're not, keeping someone doing the chest compressions can get mighty tiresome if you haven't done it or you're doing it for a long period of time. Right. And again, the 3 minutes probably feels like eternity, let alone half an hour to what were they saying? An hour for each trip there and back from like Timmins to Chapleau.
And if it's a money issue, I would gladly pay again for my license plate sticker renewal to ensure that money can go towards these necessary cares in that community.
Yeah.
They say it's different budgets, but at the end of the day, it's the same big bank account, right?
And again, I still laugh at Sean. Sean's like, if they can have, the Bigfoot Research Fund, God forbid they ever find Bigfoot, but there's people getting paid to sit on their arse. You're looking for Bigfoot. Why can't someone sit, in a garage, and, if you never have to save someone's life, you're still getting paid. But if you're, someone is in dire straits of this service, you're there to help them out.
Yeah. And, Joanne was mentioning, and they mentioned on the show, there's a 5-year-old there with a lot of medical concerns. So if something ever happens, frustrating. And Amanda made another point. You like what you were saying. You're out camping. Injuries happen when you're camping. It happens when you're fishing. It happens when you're hunting. It happens when you're snowmobiling. It is completely awful. You're absolutely right.
Tonight's game sponsored by your good friends at Northern College.
That's it, Kinsman. That's all you had to read.
That's it. They get their sponsors a couple mentions a period. You got to get Northern College to come down here and hit me.
All right, pal. So I'm actually going to thank our sponsors, and maybe you can turn it around and give us a view of the game here.
You want to do the game while you're doing that? Hang on. Mind my fingers. There we go.
You got those big hands. You got big. There's Bigfoot. There's your hands right there.
Got big mitts. Well, how about you do that? And and again, we can't do this show without our sponsors. So we thank each and you see your logo on our screen. We love each and every one of you.
All right, pal.
And there goes a souvenir. Here, wait for this one. And there goes our first game souvenir of the evening, courtesy of our good friends at Kerr Crane Service.
Yeah, he's just showing off now. All right. Well, Kinsman is showing off her skills. We do want to thank our sponsors, and we do love them. Without people watching the show and without our sponsors, we have absolutely nothing. So we appreciate them more than words can say. So our good friend Justin Morin and V&M Renovations. I'll use a Kinsman term, the dynamic duo. But if you're someone like Mark and I who don't move into places that are carpenter's dreams, you need the pros at B&M Renovations. They're completely awesome. Check out their Facebook page. They've done everything from business to residential, and a couple younger entrepreneurs in this community doing well. And please don't tackle redoing a kitchen if you have skills like Mark and I. Give them a call, 705-372-3832. And Jackpot City, we are going to be going there for their grand opening, which is coming up very shortly. But we did post some pictures of what the bingo hall looks like. Oh, magnificent. And people always ask, when are we going to get a casino in this community? We have one. This place is absolutely gorgeous. We can't wait to get there for the grand opening. And the place is tremendous. It's super tremendous. And whether, this is something you like to do as casual fun, just to get out for the evening. If you love playing bingo like I do, we're super privileged to have this in our community. Our good friends at Jackpot City. DAP Cleaning Solutions. Mark and I are looking at a building. And, Kinsman, if you've ever been to his house, it's not that clean. I don't know if he can hear me. So we're definitely going to be hiring professional commercial cleaning services through DAP, who are going to keep us looking sharp. And we love them over here. And if you're a business that's looking for these services, their spring cleaning sessions, a few of them are still open. Give them a call at 705-465-3500. Downtown Timmins, just wait till you see what they have planned this summer. They have an awesome street festival coming out and a lot of amazing things that haven't happened in the last couple of years because of COVID. The Downtown Timmins BIA's got a lot of exciting things planned. They just had their Easter celebration, and stay tuned to what they have this summer with the markets and the street fest, and of course our favorite, the Santa Claus Parade and everything else. But they are doing a lot of good work down there to make a Downtown Timmins the spot to go and for businesses to grow. Hillbilly Customs. Firewood. Kinsman always tell me he came to my house last year and he burnt like a quart of firewood. So he says he's going over here to load me up for this summer. We can't wait. And they do a whole bunch of cool things. Long log end tables, coffee tables, dog beds, walking sticks. I think that'd be pretty cool to have. Give them a shout at 288-7368. That's Hillbilly Customs. This is a must-have for the camping season. Heated chairs. They have the non-heated ones too, but you need the heated chairs. Imagine, just sit out in the morning outside your RV, cup of coffee, heated chair, enjoying life. It's the way to go at Albert's. And of course, they have all your outdoor supplies, and the spring's going to come. I promise. It's probably maybe in a couple weeks, and we're going to be camping very soon, so don't be left out. Check out our friends at Albert's. We love them over there, and I still won't touch the leeches, but everything else, love it there. This place, I love this place. I was never tried plant-based food before I went to Plant-Based Marché, and for some reason, I don't know how they do it, but they got all these delicious snacks that are healthy for you, without all the sugar and stuff that I've eaten before. And these are the newest ones. We've tried these, and these are awesome. The barbecue chips are just tremendous. And I've fed them. I've given them to people who didn't believe me, and they couldn't even tell the difference. So Plant-Based Marché, 175 3rd Avenue, Timmins, 221-1755. You really have to check them out. And we'll be bringing some of their food to the next event at Fullbeard. Timmins Rock, well, obviously, a big partner of ours. Mark's at the game tonight. Game 2, Rock coming off a 6-1 win. Predict a big win for the Rock tonight. We've got the best team we have in years, and I think the boys will be bringing home the championship. Boost Funding, our awesome friends at Link North. We're actually going to be meeting up with them next Friday and shooting another video to show another business that was successfully involved with Boost Funding. And it really helped them towards a major project in their business. So if you're a business owner that's, for example, looking to upgrade some technology, contact a Link North associate. All you need to do is go online, fill out a questionnaire. And if you qualify, they'll reach out to you. And if you don't, they'll line you up with another business agency in town, which Mark and I use these agencies for our businesses. And they're all free services. Mango Delight. The biggest lunch I've ever eaten in my life. I was full for 5 days. This place, if you haven't tried Mango Delight, trust me, bring your sweatpants because you're going to get a meal of all meals. Downtown Timmins, 11 to 2 and 4 to 9. Oh, well, there we go. I'm not too sure what happened there. I think Kinsman bumped me off the screen somehow. But anyways, our good friends at Mango Delight. I don't know what happened there. An awesome meal, like totally tremendous. And you have to go check him out. He's been in this restaurant business for years, and the man knows what he's doing. And Full Beard, they go in there very often. Yeah, I know I froze Joanne. I have no idea what happened. My computer just like did a quick reboot all of a sudden. I think Mark's underneath the table or one of my kids or something. But yeah, it's going all weird. Now it's flipped over to the Mark Kins cam. So I don't know what's happening, to be honest with you. Kinsman, are you hitting buttons in the background there, pal, or what? You playing like a joke on me? Let me go back to where I was. Yes, Full Beard. So people go in there often and ask for a beer that tastes like Coors Light. Well, they got it. It's called the Better Days. We love it just as much as we love the Kins and Klomp beer. And don't forget, May 6th, we have Rosewood Avenue live at Full Beard. We're going to be there. We're going to be hosting. We're going to have buckets of our beer. And you can come and sit with us if you want, if you dare. Listen to Mark's jokes all night. We want to welcome the Alzheimer's Society to the show. We're going to be partnering with them for the whole month. And we got exciting things. They got a lot of events coming up in the next month or so. And one is this awesome, this duck race. I don't know if you've ever been involved in the duck race, but it's super cool. You purchase a duck and it floats down the river. And you hope yours come first because you can win some cash prizes. Mark and I are going to be hosting that. They have a walk. We're going to be down there in their building meeting their team. So expect to see a lot of those good folks the next month. All right. So let me check in with Kinsman one more time. All right. So, pal, when you were gone, my computer did a soft reboot.
I saw that.
The sponsor slides completely disappeared. I thought you connected to my Bluetooth and you were practical joking me.
Not practical joking, no. But I want to see what the jackpot went for the 50-50 last night. I got to announce this right now. Hey, don't forget, hockey fans, you pick up your 50-50 ticket to support the Teams Last Club Association tonight. Draw will take place early in tonight's third period. Tickets are just 3 for $5. Last game's jackpot last night was $2,500. Get your tickets and good luck.
Yeah.
25 bones last night.
Pretty good.
We're still scoreless right now. 0-0. Just about to hit the 10-minute mark of the first period here between Tiggins and Hearst in Game 2 of the East Division Final.
All right, Kinsman. Well, we're wishing the Rock the best. I know you're going to keep us updated. I wish I could go to a game, but you got me working all the time. So who knows here, pal?
Next series, we'll time it that it's on an off show night, and we'll both come in. I'll get someone to replace me to do the PA. You and I can just go hang out in our seats. We have season seats that we haven't sat in.
Yeah, we haven't sat. Yeah, again, because you always got me working, pal. So I'm going to let you go enjoy the Rock game. Our hearts go out to the the community of Foleyet.
Foleyet, yeah. You know what? I still can't believe that we were having a conversation about like someone sat at the table. You just want to be a fly on the wall when they were discussing. Yeah. You know what? Here's something that we can touch. EMS service.
That's great.
Like holy shit! Like what kind of, as they say, what kind of glue was that person sniffing?
Yeah,
it's trying to put the lid back on the glue and sober up here, and let's get back to back to real normalcy where EMS service is actually a vital service.
You got it, pal. You said it right. All right. You have a good night. Go Rock, go. Keep me up to date.
I will. You know what? I'm gonna do period by period updates here. So follow our page. And again, right now 0-0. We just hit the 9:28 mark of the first period. And we need to win to go to Hearst for games 3 and 4. Up 2 games to 9 at a 4.
Oh, there it is! Turn the camera around. Turn that camera. Awesome. You should turn your camera. Kinsman, you missed all the act. There you go. All right. Well, there we go. The Rock up 1-0. Heading into a 2-0 series lead. And we're calling it right now. The Rock are going to win the championship. All right, we'll wait for Kinsman to call the goal because he likes to brag with that boisterous voice of his. And then we'll click off. Let's see what he does here.
Taking try goal. He is first of the playoffs. Scored by number 16, Henry Rock. Assist to number 77, Nicholas Frederick. Time of the Rock goal, 10:40. Henry Brock is first of the playoffs, assisted by number 77, Nicholas Frederick. Time of the Rock goal, 10:40. And hockey fans, we're now in the first period intermission for the first stoppage of play, brought to you by the McConnery Coffee Shop.
Go Rock, go.
Esta canción te la dedico a ti, la que siempre está junto a mí. En las buenas y las malas, siempre bella y fiel eres tú. Desde el momento en que te conocí, sentí algo que nunca antes sentí. Contigo lo tengo todo, reina de mi castillo eres tú. Yeah. Me levantaste cuando estaba en el suelo. Tuviste fe cuando nadie en mí creía. Bebé, tú eres la mujer maravilla. Prometo ser tu Superman por toda tu vida. Tu sonrisa me inspira. Cuando me tocas todo se me olvida. Tus labios me sanan las heridas. Dueña de mi corazón, la que todo lo cambió. Una flor en el desierto y como lluvia bajo el sol. Dueña de mi corazón, contigo todo es mejor. Me calmas las tormentas con la magia de tu amor. Quiero protegerte, ser tu escudo. Quiero regalarte las estrellas. Quiero hacerte feliz, te lo juro. Quiero amanecer junto a ti hasta que yo me muera. Contigo todo es más divertido. Se van las horas sin darme cuenta. Eres como el aire que respiro. Dueña de mi corazón, la que todo lo cambió. Una flor en el desierto y como lluvia bajo el sol. Dueña de mi corazón, contigo todo es mejor. Me calmas las tormentas con la magia de tu amor. Esta canción te la dedico a ti, la que siempre está junto a mí. En las buenas y las malas, siempre bella y fiel eres tú. Desde el momento en que te conocí, sentí algo que nunca antes sentí. Contigo lo tengo todo, reina de mi castillo eres tú. Dueña de mi corazón, la que todo lo cambió. Una flor en el desierto y como lluvia bajo el sol. Dueña de mi corazón, contigo todo es mejor. Me calmas las tormentas con la magia de tu amor. Me calmas las tormentas con la magia de tu amor. Dueña de mi corazón. Esta canción te la dedico a ti, la que siempre está junto a mí. Dueña de mi corazón.